Imagine walking into a skyscraper, but you aren't walking in from the ground. You're walking in from the sky. Just picture it. You're hundreds of feet above one of China's most glowing, intense cities, and you're stepping into this massive structure that is literally suspended right there in the clouds. Now, this isn't just your standard observation deck or some flimsy little sky bridge. No, this is effectively a skyscraper lying down. It's a massive glass tube stretching horizontally across the tops of other towering skyscrapers, completely throwing normal architectural rules right out the window. Measuring a staggering 300 meters straight across the sky, this absolute behemoth is known as the Crystal. It's the crowning jewel of Raffles City Chongqing, and it stands as one of the most unbelievable architectural feats China has ever managed to pull off.
But seeing this just brings up a massive question. Really, the central mystery of this whole explainer. Why? I mean, why go through the insane effort and mind-boggling expense to build a skyscraper sideways? Is it just a wild stunt to grab attention, or are we looking at exactly how humans are going to live in the future?
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, Mountain Megacity. Welcome to Chongqing.
Sitting right at the meeting point of the Yangtze and Jialing rivers, Chongqing is, well, it's basically a real-life cyberpunk megacity. The geography here is so intense that it literally forces everything upward. You've got highways twisting through the air, trains disappearing directly into the sides of buildings, and huge apartment towers just climbing up these insanely steep hillsides. Around here, ground level entirely depends on where you happen to be standing at that exact moment.
Contrast the flat, highly organized street grids of cities like New York or Chicago with the vertical chaos of Chongqing, and the difference is wild. The terrain here is so vertical and unpredictable that just walking through it makes you feel like the future has already arrived.
And rising right up from the riverfront of this chaotic terrain are 8 immense skyscrapers. These sprawling towers act as the base, the literal foundation, for what looks, honestly, like a giant glass ship just sailing right through the clouds. The Crystal itself is built directly above 4 of these towers, stretching sideways across structures that are 250 meters tall. And that creates this massive psychological shift, you know? Instead of pushing vertically into the earth and fighting gravity like we normally do, it moves horizontally, turning the entire skyline into a literal cinematic stage. Which brings us to Section 2, Engineering Impossible, Building the Crystal.
Just think about the insane engineering challenge here for a second. Placing thousands of tons of steel and glass on top of shifting skyscrapers? Achieving that required extreme precision over 3 distinct steps. First, they had to assemble these massive sections down on the ground. Second, they had to lift them to extreme heights. And third, they had to align them perfectly to account for things like wind, heavy loads, and intense vibrations.
As the engineers themselves put it, this structure had to become a choreographed conversation between buildings because, skyscrapers are never actually completely motionless. They move and breathe with the weather. So every single connection up there had to be perfectly designed to absorb those extreme forces while somehow remaining completely stable. Let's move on to Section 3, the vertical city future and stacked ecosystems. Think about what happens when land becomes incredibly limited, and our megacities just get far too dense. The whole timeline of urban development has to shift. For most of human history, we built outward, horizontal sprawl. But today, as land gets way more expensive and traffic becomes totally unbearable, we're seeing a dramatic shift towards stacked, vertical urban ecosystems. In a true vertical city like this, your entire life can literally happen on the y-axis. You could be sleeping in one tower, taking an elevator down to go shopping in the podium below, working somewhere nearby, and then having dinner in a sky garden way up in the clouds. Homes, transit, and parks are all combined into one massive, layered ecosystem.
When we compare our traditional horizontal cities with these new vertical megastructures, the differences are pretty striking. Traditional cities give us open streets, ground-level nature, and a bit of unpredictability. Vertical cities, on the other hand, like Raffles City, offer extreme efficiency, complete climate control, and a visual spectacle that is just off the charts.
And that brings us to Section 4, Freedom or Cage, the Human Impact.
This whole concept brings up a pretty profound emotional tension. I mean, what really is the ultimate future of vertical cities? Because these megaprojects, they aren't just buildings anymore. They're basically arguments made of steel and glass, forcing all of us to confront this highly cinematic urban future.
So we have to ask, is this genius or has it gone too far? There's a real divide here. Supporters look at the crystal and see an absolute triumph of human ambition and engineering. But critics, they look at this exact same structure and see a future where our cities become overwhelmingly artificial and machine-like.
And this points to a major global trend. As experts have noted, the city is becoming less like a collection of separate buildings and way more like one giant breathing organism. These interconnected towers are rapidly replacing the old-school model of standalone skyscrapers that just compete for height.
And of course, these giant organisms are fiercely competing for our attention. In the age of viral media, skylines act as massive global advertisements. These megaprojects are entirely designed to capture tomorrow's imagination, becoming global images that travel across the internet way faster than any official speech ever could.
But what does all this mean for ordinary daily life? There are serious engineering, financial, and cultural risks when architecture is designed primarily for global spectacle and viral imagery rather than for the daily, grounded experience of the actual human beings living inside it.
So the really crucial point here is this. The horizontal skyscraper forces us to envision a very strange world. A world where the street is no longer the main level. We are quite literally looking at a future where you might never actually need to cross a road on the ground ever again.
As geography and population density continue to force this kind of wild innovation, how much can humans actually stack into the sky? When the cities of tomorrow finally, fully arrive, will they feel like the ultimate freedom, or just a beautiful cage? Subscribe to Discover Earth, because the future is already being built, and most of the world hasn't noticed yet. If this explainer in a China's megaprojects amazed you, leave a like and comment below if you'd ever want to live in a city up in the sky. Keep exploring with us, because our next story might just reveal another impossible structure shaping our planet.